Disclaimer, if you have not seen this movie yet, please come back here after. This movie is best experienced as blind as possible. I had a nickel for every time a horror movie debuted with 100% in Rotten Tomatoes in the summer of 2025. I'd have 2 nickels, which actually is a lot, all things considered. It has been an outstanding year for movies, and for horror movies in particular. A ton of good shit is being sprinkled all year round, and Weapons just keeps that train moving. From the first trailer, I knew that Weapons was going to be a wonderfully weird film. Its writer-director, Zach Krager's last movie, Barbarian, was an absolute banger, and Weapons feels like the Pokemon evolution of that film. It does a lot of the same things as Barbarian, but just better. It's shot better, it's written better, and it's a lot weirder, but it's not quite as good as that 100% would leave you to believe. This movie does have one vital thing holding it back from being that near perfect viewing experience. If you've only seen the movie once, you're probably wondering what I'm talking about. The film's first viewing is pretty much as good as the critics say. The film is definitely tailored around that first viewing. The movie is designed in a very similar way to Barbarian, where it starts out like a pretty standard horror movie and gets a lot weirder and more subversive as the movie goes on. What this movie does differently from Barbarian is its layout. The movie is laid out in these chapters that follow different characters. The first 2 chapters are pretty standard and set up a lot of the tropes you'd expect. You have the distraught, kind of fish out of water protagonist, the judgmental townie, the boyfriend cop, and the kid with weird shit happening all around them. This leads to Weapon's biggest trick, where it pulls the rug out from under you and continues to subvert your expectations all throughout the film. Turns out the protagonist isn't actually the protagonist for most of the film. Tony is a lot more fleshed out than you'd think. The boyfriend is a lot more like a real cop, piece of shit. And the kid is actually one of the more competent people in the movie. And that's the film's biggest strength. The constant subversion of expectations is greatly enhanced by that chapter format. It makes it feel like this descent into the unexpected. That's where it's most similar to Barbarian. And as I said, this chapter format both helps, but does also harm the film. The chapter format enhances the subversion of expectations and makes the film feel a lot lengthier. And on the first viewing, those are definitely good things and make the film feel like that 100% fresh. But on rewatches, that feeling of the film being longer than it actually is does hurt the film pretty significantly. Once you know the twists and the turns, it kind of just feels like you're waiting for the film to get into the more creative and unexpected parts. This doesn't ruin the film by any means, since the chapter format does help the characters a lot. Having such concentrated effort to dedicate to each character makes for a really good rewatch when you're analyzing their different perspectives, how they see the world, and how they see each other. Each character's chapter will paint them in a more favorable light and other characters in a more negative light, and picking apart those little details is really fascinating to try to get an insight onto how they feel internally about the world and what may or may not be the actual events that happen. That, paired with the amazing presentation, helps keep you engaged on the rewatches. This film's cinematography is jaw-dropping. There are so many creative and engaging shots all throughout the film that constantly top each other. This, paired with an excellent soundtrack, makes for a perfect display of the just weird oddness that the film radiates. And everybody's also acting their pussies off in this movie. Julia Gardner and Josh Brolin as the co-leads of the film definitely add a lot of emotional depth to their characters and really get you hooked in. Austin Brahms and Alden Ehrenreich also have a lot of creative, chaotic energy to the film, and their sequences in particular feel like these really tense ramp-ups in emotion. And the kid, Carrie Christopher, acts his ass off for like a 9 or 10-year-old. He is one of the stand-up performances of the film just because of how young he is. He really does feel on par with the other actors. With all that considered, I'd have to give Weapons a pretty solid 8.5 out of 10.